Hi everyone, my name's Angel and I just wanted to share my testimony. So roughly around 4 years ago, when I was like 16, 17, I started getting like irregular periods, like irregular menstruation, and this was happening to me during exam season. I wouldn't have a period for like 6-7 months or so, and this happened, I'll say, all the way until this year. I was having irregular periods. They would go missing, come back, go missing, come back. It would come, it wouldn't come again for 4 months, stuff like that. It was just very irregular. Okay, so when I was in the world, I would say, like, I didn't have any answers. You know, I'll tell my mom, like, look, this is happening to me. She'll just be like, oh, it's fine, you're young, all that reassuring mom stuff. And I'll be telling my friends, and they'll be like, oh yes, you know, it's nothing, type of thing. Like, no one really took it seriously. And it was just hard for me because, like, with girls, like, we're always like, oh, I started my period, it's so annoying. So obviously the people around me would be saying that, and I'll just be sitting there thinking, like, you know, I don't even get periods anymore. Like, it's disappeared, where's it gone to? And so I started getting very concerned, obviously. So I told my mum, and she told me, okay, look, book a GP appointment, because, you know, I was going like on Google, I was searching why is my periods irregular, stuff like that, you know, all the stuff that come up, like, oh, you have this and that wrong with you, blah blah blah. So I started self-diagnosing myself, and I came to agreement that I had this condition called PCOS, which stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. And what that is just when you have a lot of like cysts and like basically just things in your womb, and you can't cure it, like there's no cure for it, and yeah, the chances of you being infertile is likely. So I was very worried, I was very scared. So I went to the GP. They were just like, oh yeah, we can put you on contraception, you know, birth control. I was thinking, like, I don't need all of that. First of all, I was young at the time, like I was 17 years old. Why do I need all of that type of stuff? Birth control, no. And then they said, okay, so we can refer you to the doctor. So what they did, they referred me, and I had an ultrasound, and they scanned me, they scanned my womb, my ovaries, whatever. They scanned all of that stuff, and they couldn't find anything. And I was thinking, like, that's strange. But they did say to me I didn't have PCOS. I was like, that's strange, but at the same time I'm happy, because that means there's nothing wrong with me. I don't have this condition, my period just goes and comes. Like, I guess that's just how my body works. So I started accepting this, and you know, when you accept these things, you come into agreement with it, and you actually allow it to continue manifesting. So when I started getting closer with God, and you know, when I stopped living for the world, this was something I presented to God. I said, like, God, like, you know, where are my periods? Why do I not have periods and stuff like that? I was just really asking. I was asking. Like, it was one of my main prayer points. And finally, the Lord led me to Leviticus 15. And Leviticus 15 is about bodily discharge. It is about menstruation and abnormalities, stuff like that. But I would say at the time my capacity was lower than what it is now. So I read it and I didn't understand. I was thinking, like, like, this is to do with periods. God, you hear my prayers, but what does it mean? You know? But a few weeks later, I'll say now, Prophet Adina and Prophet Gideon, they're on Instagram live together. They were doing it together. So I joined it because I like joining their lives, and I like, you know, following them and stuff like that, because I feel like they're very insightful. So I joined it, not really, you know, expecting anything for myself. I just joined it to see what was going on, see what they were saying, to hear, like, you know, hearing other people's prophecies and whatnot. So I went on it, and obviously Prophet Gideon pointed me out, and he said my username, and yeah, God began speaking through him, and you know, he told me the roots of this menstruation problem, the impurity of the blood, and it was actually a generational thing that the enemy had planted from a young age, like I'd say perhaps 13 years old, to keep the women in my family oppressed. And I am the youngest child, but I'm the firstborn daughter, so I guess this thing, you know, decided to manifest in my life. And it made sense to me, because I started reflecting on the women in my family. I was thinking, like, yeah, like, some of you do have impurities of the blood, you do have problems with the blood, you know, issues with the blood, infertility and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, like, you know, this makes a lot of sense. And, you know, then and there, God healed me, He delivered me, and He said I will no longer have to worry about this thing anymore, and that I'm healed and I'm a new wave. So the generations after me will not suffer from this anymore. And I was so relieved, I was so thankful, because as a young girl, you grow up thinking like, you know, what if I'm infertile? What if I can't, you know, provide my parents' grandchildren? What if my husband leaves me because I can't have his kids? Like, these stuff were just, you know, going around and round and round in my head. And that's what the enemy wants. He wants you to live in anxiety. He wants you to live in fear. He wants you to question God's goodness. And yeah, he just wanted to keep me very low, very oppressed, I would say, with this thing. It made me question my own womanhood and stuff like that. It was a very, I'll say, tough time for me. Obviously now I'm healed, I'm saved, and I couldn't be more grateful to God, and I'm just so happy, I'm so thankful.